It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
It is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 12 of Season 7. I'm your host, David Harbatkin, joined by the Commissioner of the League, the kind of depressed Mr. Gazelewski.
What's up, people?
And also joining us, the guy who vanquished him and is gaslighting the entire league currently, Mr. Manny Friedman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I'm very happy.
Yes, I can tell. Well, this was a, I'm actually kind of happy too in that, the difference wasn't Garoppolo. I already feel bad enough about this whole shenanigans. I mean, first of all, you could have, I don't even know. You should have just dropped him and then picked him. Nobody was going to pick him up. Nobody's going to pick him up. You played the PR game in this like Kaepernick. It's terrible. You would have gotten the same points. You just had to drop him. Whatever. But at least you didn't. At least he wasn't the difference maker. Makes me happy. I mean, it makes me not happy, but content. At least that wasn't the difference. Plus, he's not going to do shit after this. He just owns Arizona. I guess we could start with your game since I'm already talking about it. So let's start there. You two got together actually this weekend to watch the game with some hors d'oeuvres.
It was a trash talk fest.
But at least
it was a trash talk fest, but he got fed.
Yeah, exactly.
I fed him food.
That's nicer than some other teams that didn't end up victorious.
Yeah.
And
watched came over, watched on my 65-inch, which I'm barely home, so I rarely use actually, and made him some chicken drumsticks with some shrimp cocktail.
Wow, classy! You're classy over there on the north side of Hackettstown.
Yeah, definitely upside. Anything north of M&M Mars is very rich.
I know, like wow.
So I was fine feeding him whatever, as long as I got the W, and that's what happened. So I'm perfectly content. And
you had recliners that have charging stations built in. Apparently,
I do.
It sounds like a nice luxury box that you have over there in the Hackettstown finest suites.
I guess so. Whatever you say.
In the CVS Stadium. Over there on the north side.
Like spoiled Millennial Stadium.
The CVS Millennial Stadium. What's yours? The CVS
dumpster.
The M&M dumpster.
They're behind M&Ms.
All right, so let's go through. Well, first of all, this did not end up close. It was a final score of 163.56 to 104.60. So I'm looking at large numbers over on the left. I'm going to just ignore the Garoppolo thing because I really have honestly dealt with that enough. So Garoppolo got 39.66 points. Hollywood Brown. This is Hollywood. No, wait. This isn't Hollywood. This is
John
Buffalo.
Brown.
This is Buffalo Brown. 34.70 points against Miami. Woo. DeAndre Hopkins with 15. Nick Chubb only 9.2 on the Thursday night. But Gurley ends up with 20.3. Kelsey with 22. Curtis Samuel with a measly 6.5. Prater got 3 and then 13 for the Oakland defense. On the other side of the ledger, not exactly ideal, as Keenan Allen only had 9.70.
Keenan Allen, wide receiver?
Or sorry.
It doesn't matter what Allen it is. He was a loser. It's the wrong Allen.
I know. There's so many Allens. Wasn't there the... doesn't somebody else have a quarterback, Allen? Like, there's 2 other Allen quarterbacks or something. Because there's the Buffalo one, and isn't there a new Allen quarterback?
Yeah, the Denver one.
Yeah, the Denver one. There's 3 Allen quarterbacks, so you picked the wrong one.
Even if I had all 3 of them, I wouldn't have.
I know. Tyreek Hill with 0 points on Monday
that was
night.
the icing on the cake, actually. There's a man down. Who is it? Why is Tyreek Hill stretched out on the bench like Todd Gurley getting like a massage? I was a little bit like, what's going on over there? And then, much to my dismay.
Yeah, that is some icing on this shit cake. 23.8 for Gallup. That's at least good. And Eckler ends up with 21.20. Good score there. Kenyon Drake, 14 points. 14.9 from Henry, 8 from Aguilar. That's I thought you said you would never have him on your team again. I guess you.
And then he dropped the final pass of the game. Typical Aguilar pass.
Have you not learned from the Mike Evans experience that you had? You don't once you write a guy off, write him off. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Just as Lutsky was about to pack his computer and walk out my door, Aguilar drops that bomb.
He threw it right to him. Oh my God! He lifted awkwardly for no reason. My cat could have caught that.
You don't know how many times Gaze has said that. My cat could have caught that.
That's one of his favorite lines. 11 points for Lutz. I mean, one of your better, and the Dallas defense with only 2 points. As far as bench blunders go, I mean, Kareem Hunt did a little bit better than what's his name than Chubb, but I mean, only 2 points better. Landry with 14.3 points, 12 for Fitzgerald. I mean, that's better than Hill with 0. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Yeah, and the Buffalo defense had 10. Doesn't matter. There's not enough points on your bench to add up to even come close in this game. So
I was honestly worried, after the Thursday night game. I mean, Chubb kind of wet the bed, and Kareem Hunt did better. So, and I also had Landry on my bench, who had 14 points. So
yeah, I absolutely hate this result. I hate it for so many reasons. Because first of all, I mean, we've been saying how weak and easy your schedule is, and then you come out with this kind of 163 burger. This just bothers me. Everything about this bothers me. The Garoppolo, everything about this game bothers me. The ego is through the roof. You're on a 10-game win streak. You can clinch first place. You could literally clinch first place this week. You've already clinched a playoff spot, but first place, I mean, you don't even have to play in that's the only upside, is maybe you'll take a nap during Thanksgiving where your game won't even matter against me. So I don't know. For the Hagglers, we'll get into the other results, but you're fine, essentially, thanks to the worst team in the league. But yeah, you end up exactly where you were. So no harm.
God, Zaveri.
I know. Who
I was extremely surprised to wake up this morning, check the standings, and see his position exactly where it was.
Yeah, I know. Actually, nothing has changed in the entire. So out of all of the teams that made the playoffs, or that are currently in a playoff spot, nothing moved. Absolutely nothing.
Is that a record?
I don't know. The fact that teams 9 through 5 all lost. I mean, Hockey. I did talk to Hockey. I tried to get him on the show today, but he's an impossible human being just in general. But yeah, he was saying he should go to Vegas after everybody above him lost and put him in actually a pretty decent position. I thought he was actually going to get 6th, but he just fell slightly below the points necessary. Yeah, but I mean, what are you gonna say? This is I feel like this is the first win that you could feel 8/9 good about.
Okay. All right. It's the first win in a while that I actually deserved, according to you.
Yes. I mean, you definitely deserve this win. I mean, the other ones, it's not even that you didn't necessarily deserve them because I'd have to go through each and every game, but like, it certainly was no competition in the other ones. This one, you earned it, and it was, you know, it was an important game. So, I mean, I have to give credit where credit's due. I don't like to, but you know, this is a week where I do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't.
Well, I think there's a good chance, Gaze, that we might play in the second round of the playoffs. Might have a rematch.
If Tyreek Hill is getting a massage on the bench, that's it.
I'm actually. I have to say, I'm kind of. This is interesting. So, I'm curious to see how the Hagglers respond to this. Because this just might be the catalyst to make them. I mean, because we know you're always itching to throw your entire team in the garbage can.
Oh, they're done.
I know. So like, honestly, like, you know, 2 weeks ago, I was kind of going into thinking that our matchup, yours and mine, in the upcoming week, and we'll discuss that later in the show. But I was kind of thinking, oh, everybody's in a bye. You know, this will be easy. Now I'm kind of terrified about it because I don't think I think that everybody's going in the trash, and I don't know what's going to show up, and that has cost me dearly in the past. So I'm wondering if I also know that the Hagglers have a history of being really pissed about these kinds of losses and using it as fuel.
Oh, this is the Patriots versus the Giants, Week 16. They met in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Or more recently than that, this is the Harbakin winning by 100 points. when I Egypt.
Yeah.
The laughing stock laugher.
Yeah, I mean, the Hagglers are not the team that you want to just destroy because they don't take it lying down.
The thing, like, it always happens in the same pattern, like right before the end of the season when you're written off Left 4 Dead in a laugher. And then it's not so funny the next time you see them. If you see them again, it's not going to be funny.
I know. And you have never lost a playoff game in the history of this league. So
I was telling Manny that. It's kind of a running joke, but we're undefeated in the playoffs.
I know. So be fearful of this team.
I don't think you really have to be fearful next week. We'll get into the games next week, but I think week 13 is shaping out for a must-win for you. Geza.
For me? Oh, for him?
Oh, for Geza, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, but it really depends on. It depends on how things shake out now. But I mean, there's so many variables that are going on down there at the bottom. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen with the rest of that with that mess.
We didn't even move one spot. I mean, what are the odds?
I don't know.
Crazy.
I know, especially given
I took a quick glance at the schedule because I was so pissed. And the thing that immediately jumped out at me is I'm like, L. And then the team that won, like, yeah, they still don't have enough points. I'm like, am I still fifth? I'm like, excellent. I closed my laptop and just went to sleep.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it worked out well for you. I mean, like, I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, I know. I don't think that you're gonna be able to lose the rest of the regular. I mean, you have 2 games left. I think you're gonna have to win at least one of them. But because of the results of this last week, you might only have to win one of them. But we'll see. Let's go to that game that actually saved your bacon right now. Because if this did not go your way, we're talking about a totally different circumstance. But the Zamunda Lions, out of all teams.
Wow.
Go Zamunda.
Yeah. They defeat the Lightning Rods 120.86 to 112.12. Yeah, ironically, your nemesis. Look at that.
Yes.
Led by Dak Prescott with 37.56 points against Detroit. What is this? Tyrell Williams got 12.2 points. Sammy Watkins with only 4.6. Kamara with 22.2. James Conner played, and then I think he immediately got injured in the in the helmet gate. I mean, that seems so long ago. The helmet gate thing, that was like a week ago. Yeah, I only got 2.6. Gesicki, he's been sticking with that guy, 5.8. And then Darius Geis, look at this, 13.9 points from him. It's interesting. Adrian Peterson, one of the many bitches of the league, was passed around constantly, and he was actually the last few weeks getting a decent point total, and he was on Zamunda, but Zamunda went out and got Geis, and he's now replacing him, and 13.9 is not bad.
In the game.
Yeah, exactly. The kicker Carlson got 5, and then the New Orleans defense was 17 against Tampa Bay. That's huge. On his bench, the only thing that's there is really 2 quarterbacks that got way less than Prescott. So nothing there. As far as the lightning rods, Goff only got 6.22 points against Chicago. Stephon Diggs with 23.1. Edelman with 16.9. Didn't he have a touchdown throw in that, if I'm correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody who commented on that? Like, I think it was Tillett, because he had Tom Brady, and he's like, and the touchdown was thrown by, it was like everything was going wrong for him. Elliott with 19.3 points, 9.5 for Lindsey, 6.7 from Ebron. Tariq Cohen, look at that. We have a Tariq Cohen sighting for 18.4 points. So all of these backups that have just been passed around and discarded.
All of the Haglers to start the season, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Edelman and Cohen.
I know. So 18.4.
You built Nick's team with Prescott. I mean, this whole league is built by like 2 teams.
Yeah, all the ones that were thrown away. Butker gets 7 and 5 for the Chicago defense, who has now cooled off quite a bit. In fact, the New York Jets defense got more points than Chicago. Well, that's quite a turnaround. Of course, on his bench. Yeah, this is devastating for the Lightning Rods. Now, granted, it's not even that it's devastating. It's just that they had a real opportunity to assert themselves. They would have been in the playoff. They would have been in the driver's seat, honestly, for a playoff spot had they won this. But to lose to Zamunda, I've been there. I know how frustrating it is.
Right. This was the costly loss that turned everything around.
Yeah.
Like, they're in 5th, I think. They go all the way to 5th place because they have more points than them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I say they would be in the driver's seat for.
And they would have knocked me out of the playoffs, probably once again, or I would have been 6th at the very.
I think you would have been. Because Tillett would have moved down to 7th, and then you would have been 6th at that point. But now you still hold on to 5. Like, yeah, and honestly, Zamunda did well in this, but it's still only 120. The Lightning Rod's getting 112 in a crucial game is it's certainly costly. There's no way to sugarcoat that, but because the law, that log jam just doesn't want to de-jam itself. It's still up in the air completely.
And considering he has the most points of all the 5 and 6 teams,
yeah, so
that
helps him. I like some of the other teams that lost this week. It's extra costly for them because they don't have the point totals. Because he has the point totals, it almost gives him like a game in hand. But that's another reason why. So not only was this a loss, which hurts, but it's not a tough point total, which lets other teams kind of inch up to him. So I don't know.
Yep.
Total missed opportunity. If they don't make the playoffs, this year. This is the game that you point to, obviously. Like, there's no way around it.
Happy Thanksgiving, Zamunda.
Yeah. All right. Well, where do we move on to the next shocking game? Was there anything else that was shocking? I don't think anything else was shocking. No, that was just. That's clearly upset of the week. As far as, all right, well, let's go to what we called the London game last week, which is the Whalers over Dave's Secret Crush. We clearly said that they were going to get crushed. This is not a crushing effort. I have to say, I don't know.
At one point, Eugene had 7 players playing and had 6 points.
Yeah.
It was going to be the last of all time, and then somehow he.
I know Whalers was going to blow. I mean, we looked at the projections, and Whalers is supposed to blow them out like at that point. But it ends up being a relatively close game. So the Whalers win 98.46 to 85.96. This is a week after. I mean, the Whalers had massive point totals the 2 weeks before that, and then, you know, they end up. They end up with enough, and certainly, you know, there's certainly pieces for the Whalers, but let's go through their actual scores right now. So, Deshaun Watson only gets 4.96 points. That was billed as a huge game between Lamar Jackson and Watson, and Houston just did not perform at all, losing 41-7. In fact, that was the game that I had on my TV, and they cut away like at noon here to go show the Broncos Minnesota game because there was nothing to watch in that. 25.4 from Michael Thomas. I mean, that guy still is just ridiculous. 5.5 from Robinson. 12 points from Gordon. This seemed to be an Eckler game. 8.9 from Singletary. That guy cooled off. I mean, that's interesting what's going on there. I mean, because I feel like he was the right play, but, you know, who knows? It didn't end up that way. 18.4 from Ertz, reemerging. I don't know which Williams this is. Damian Williams. He had a rib injury, so he left. So 2.3 for him, 12 for Tucker, and 9 for the Rams defense. For Dave Seeker Crush, 28.86 from Kirk Cousins, 13.7 from Godwin, whatever. Amari Cooper, only 6.8. Josh Jacobs with 13.4. 6.7 for Miles Sanders in relief of everybody there. Hawkinson makes an appearance, 1.6 points. Evans with
1.6. Woo!
It seems to be this. I mean, isn't that what he got like right after you got him? Mike Evans with 10.9, 1 from Lambeau, and 3 from the Minnesota defense. I mean, Eugene left Sutton on the bench with 18.82 points. That would have won him the game, I believe, maybe.
After the Godwin-Evans debate, he leaves the winning.
Sutton had that pass touchdown as well.
Oh, did he? Yeah. I mean, 18 points. So let's see. If he would have played him instead of Cooper, so that's 12 points. You add 12 points to this. So that's 97. He still wouldn't have won. He would have fallen a point short. So, but if he played him and Witten, there were points available for the champ to win this game.
The champ is here.
But all that being said, I mean, the Whalers certainly had enough firepower to get a high score again. I mean, like, you have Jared Cook on the bench with 11.3 points, 17.3 from Mixon, who's suddenly been coming on now that they have this new quarterback there that's horrid. They clearly are only going to the running back. So, I mean, Mixon the last few weeks. So 17.3, 17.1 the week before, then he had a bye, and then the week before that, 17.7. So I think Mixon might actually be earning himself a start, maybe. And then you look at Jalen Samuels. I mean, in Connor's absence, he continues to play. I mean, I don't. This guy, I hate this guy. I mean, what happened in this game? He found the end zone as a receiver. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, God, this guy pisses me off. Because I literally had him up until the 1 week where he did well. Then the Whalers picked him up and then dropped him. And then the next time he bids like $1 million for him and then gets him back. And now he's actually good. But nonetheless, the Whalers remains a good team. Because look at it. He still has Gordon, who's, you know, he's going to do well. I mean, you bench Singletary, fine. You lose Williams, it doesn't matter. You just put in Samuels. You put in Mixon. He'll be fine. This is an aberration. And he got the win, which is Really, that's all.
It's nice to see the Whalers' point totals go down because he's been flirting with really high point totals the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes, but that's why I'm saying that these bench, the bench scores that he has still makes me worry about him.
Absolutely.
He to his credit, he built himself so much depth. How many running backs do you can't? I'm feasting at the bottom, just wading through the RB2 swamp garbage, and this guy, and he still has Royce Freeman sitting there. He didn't do that well this week, but he's still, he's got so many quality running backs on his bench. So a lot of credit to him for building that kind of bench to carry him through. And just have variety of who he could use. And same thing with the tight end. He has Ertz. If he wants to run the jumbo package, Cook is not bad.
No, and then he has Ingram on the bench too.
Yeah, so I wouldn't read.
Good depth.
Yeah, I would not read anything into this.
He's actually the weakest at receiver besides Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler Lockett. Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't Lockett injured? He's expected to play after the bye, so he should be back. So then he'll still have Michael Thomas. He'll have Tyler Lockett. He could run the 3 RBs. He could run the jumbo package. He's got quality tight ends. This is
with Thomas and Lockett. Yeah, he has a lot of depth.
I know, and this is this was a bad game and an aberration for Watson.
Yeah,
I read nothing into this point total. I still think that he is one of the best and deepest teams in this league, and one to fear, given all that he has, and he got the win. So and that's all that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, where
is this really the champ continuing the trend of championship teams doing horrid the next season? Is he finally time to write off the champ? Is he done?
Oh, yes. He's literally done.
Champ was here. Is that the new champ?
The champ was here. He literally has been finally mathematically eliminated.
It's a forgettable season.
Yes, he is finally mathematically eliminated. Zamunda is, unless he gets about 500 points out of his next 2 games, will be eliminated, and has everything, for all intents and purposes, the Zamunda Lions are eliminated, but they're not mathematically. They can, technically, if everybody loses, and they got 250 points a game, they could make it, but there is literally nothing that the champ can do to make the playoffs, which, like you said, continues the pattern of absolute horrid seasons following championships.
So mine was 3-10 after, and he's right on the doorstep.
Yeah,
is maybe looking for 2-11. I don't know. He might be going to one up me.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So, where shall we go next? Let's continue the the miraculous logjam game. So, all right. So the Blues end up beating the Memphis Monkeys, putting them on the edge of elimination. Not quite there yet, but so the Blues win 115.08 to 84.42 against the Memphis Monkeys. Mahomes only 18.18 points. Beckham gets 10, 4.3 from Brown. Tevin Coleman with 9.2. Carlos Hyde with 12.5. Andrews, the tight end, gets 17.5. Debo Samuels with 21.47 for Vinatieri and 15 for the Baltimore defense. For the Monkeys, 22.82 for Winston, 19.9 from Marvin Jones Jr., and then Sanu only gets 3.2, 16.7 from Dalvin Cook. James White with only 9.6, 5.1 from Tyler Eifert, 4.1 from Smith Shyster, who gets a concussion and a knee injury to boot. 1 from Fairbairn, the kicker, and 2 from the Los Angeles defense. He did leave Renfroe on the bench, and that's it. He had no other points. There was no way that he could win this game. Yeah, I mean, this is another low score for the Blues. I mean, he did leave Keenan Allen. This is the one with Keenan Allen. He did leave Keenan Allen on the bench with 21.10 points, 17.7 from Rudolph. Look at that. He could run the jumbo package right there. Hardman, only 3 points on his bench. So, I don't know. I mean, so another low score here, not as low as the Whalers, but I actually look at this and you know, you compare the Whalers, you know, versus the Blues. And the Blues got a higher score this week, but I think if you look at it long term, I think the Whalers have a greater potential for a higher score than the Blues do. But I mean, but all the records end up the same. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think that there weren't really that many high scores to beat this week. Like Manny said, the whole league was low scoring.
Yeah.
But for teams that needed it, such as the Memphis Monkeys, 115 was not really that high to beat.
Oh, I know.
So.
And they needed it. Like, this makes so they're in 9th, and this makes the road to the. I mean, they're only.
I mean, this made my 104 points scored against Manny competitive compared to some of these other teams. Like, he had 163. I wasn't sniffing that, but I could have beat the Monkeys this week, or Gene, or Nick and Jamie. Like, there's so many teams I could have been competitive against with Isley 104. Like, you can't bring that in the playoffs, I don't think.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, the Hagglers did. I mean,
unless the Hagglers playing defensive fantasy football is a laughing stock right now, but in general, you don't want to bring 84 points. Come on, Monkeys.
Yeah, especially in a must-win game. That being said, they still remain only 1 game out of a playoff spot.
Well, look at this. Had you doubled the Monkeys score, you would have just edged out Manny. That's not good.
No. But hope springs eternal. I mean, not for him. He texted me, my playoff run is over, but that's not true. He still is only 1 game out. That's the unbelievable thing. I mean, it's like, how low is our 5 and 6 going to go? I mean, I've never seen a season like this where
set the bar low.
It is a very low bar.
Crazy.
I mean, yeah, yet teams 1 through 4 have already clinched. And the lowest that any of them can go is 4th. So there's a giant ravine after 4th place.
So we basically have, 7 teams fighting for 2 spots.
Is it actually 7 teams? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, you have 6. Zamunda.
6 teams.
You can't count Zamunda. You do have 6 teams that have a quote unquote legitimate shot. I mean, or at least an outside shot. Some of them, but yes, 6 teams fighting for 2 spots. And then, I mean, like, I think if you really get into the numbers, I think it's 3 that are fighting for 2 spots, but. I mean, you can't. I mean, what can you say? There is still a legitimate and.
It's really 4 because the fact that the Lightning Rods have more points than all 3 of the 5 and 6 teams, that really puts them in contention.
Yes, that is true too. I mean, that's the amazing thing. But they need to win.
Right.
I mean, and the Monkeys at 4 and 7 have more points than Wakanda, the 7th place team, at 5 and 6. So, you know,
crazy.
like, and honestly, they're only 32 points behind the Hagglers at 5th. So, and they're only 3 points behind Tillett. What?
Besides, I mean, the Monkeys does have a strong running back core, but I mean, James White has really faltered. The Patriots have really not performed well offensively. But Saquon, I mean, if he's healthy, I mean, he's not been great, but like overall, he has a very strong running back core. So if they get hot, I think he can sneak in.
It's possible. It certainly is. I mean, I don't discount anything this season. It's I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Blues, they remain. First of all, they clinch a playoff spot. So congratulations to them. They continue the pattern that they've had. So they have made it every other year. They made it season 1, season 3, season 5, and now they've clinched a spot in season 7. Whereas they seem to lose on even years. Season 2, 4, and 6, they did not make the playoffs. So good for them.
So that $60 transaction for Beckham and the auto draft turned out to be a good thing for him.
Yeah, this was somebody that was, had written himself off week 1. And look at that. He finds himself in the playoffs. See, this is why you don't get too crazy early on in the season, or certainly during the auction. Yeah. Also, we should mention that the Whalers, as well, has clinched a playoff spot. The Whalers has now made it every year, but one, I believe it was season 2 that he did not. Well, no, it wasn't season 2. I'm sorry, it was the season that Geese won, and that was the year that he coined himself the special team. So every year that he's donned the moniker of the Whalers, he's made the playoffs. So he's now made it 6 out of 7 seasons. So congratulations to him. And he also has been to more finals than any other team. So he continues to be,
He has paid his dues.
He has paid his dues. There you go. All right. I guess we can move to the team. So we'll move to the Wakanda Panthers versus Nick and Jamie. Now, this was 2 logjam teams playing against one another. One of them had to win. One of them had to lose. The winner was going to find themselves in a better position. And that ends up being Wakanda. They almost end up in a playoff spot. Only how many points behind a playoff spot right now? 5 points.
Much.
Yeah. So Wakanda, after all of that they've been through, I mean, my God, what this Wakanda team has been through this season. To be on the bubble, to be 5 points out of a playoff spot right now, it's quite impressive. So they win 114.82 to 81.86 against Nick and Jamie, led by Drew Brees. They weathered that storm. He comes back with, he's been back for a couple weeks now, but 27.12 points. Cooper Kupp, the trade, that has not worked out too well in his favor. Then again, I mean, Saquon was off, so you can't even compare it this week, but whatever. Cooper Kupp only 8.3 points, still better than his 0 the previous week. 12.3 from Philip Dorsett, 17.2 from Le'Veon Bell. Oh, look at that, geez. Yeah, I know. 23.5 from Mark Ingram, 0 from Jack Doyle, 6.4 from Sonny Michel, 9 from Gonzalez, the kicker, and 11 from his defense. His defense continues to do well. For Nick and Jamie, Carson Wentz with only 14.26 points. Galladay with 4.4. Ridley with 28.3. Marlon Mack with 16.9, but he got injured in the game. Benny Hill, whatever the hell this guy's name, Brian Hill with 4.8. Fells fell to 2.8. Rojoke, who was looking so dashing there in the previous 2 weeks, falls to 3.47 from his gay kicker and 0 from the Pittsburgh defense. And so defensive digest doesn't pay off, and they only left 3.7 points on the bench with Pascal. So, I mean, Wakanda, they had 39.84 points left on the bench from their quarterback. But, I mean, obviously you're going to start Drew Brees. McCoy on his bench got 15.7. What is going on with all of these running backs that were completely written off? I mean, wow. So yeah, I mean this is like hockey said, this was this is hearsay.
A lot of players that were on Gaze's team ended up performing well this week.
The whole league is ex-Hagglers.
I know.
McCoy, Le'Veon, who else?
The only Hagglers that are not doing well are the ones that remain on the team.
Hopkins did decent. Chubb not so much.
Michael Thomas.
Ooh, yeah.
It's an all-star lineup that wow. All right. But this is what you settled on. Okay. But yes, huge win for the Wakanda Panthers. They, given their low point total, this was a necessary win. I mean, the only one that has lower than them are Nick and Jamie, and they lost. That puts them in a tough bind, losing this game, because they're down and they're gonna need some Vegas odds to get back in it. But look, they run the table and they play their. I mean, look, if Nick and Jamie wins this week, I definitely think the Finest has their lightning rods. if that happens this week, then they could be back in it, because they play Zamunda the last week of the season, I believe. So it's not, if they can get another win against the Finest, they could be in the playoffs too. If they don't, they're going to need like a 300-point game in that last week. So good for them. That leaves us. Anything else on this game? Wakanda. Good for Wakanda. Given everything that they've been through to be in this position,
Well, unfortunately, somebody had to win this. I had a very, very fortuitous everything fell into place week. These two teams, unfortunately, somebody had to win to go 5-6.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have had the perfect week.
Yeah, you would have absolutely run the. Yes, but they did play each other, so whatever. What are you gonna do? It's not like they actually caught up to you, so somebody had to win that.
I think the right team won too, because no, neither one. So everything was just perfect this season, this week of the season anyway, perfect, regardless of what happened.
Right. And that leaves us with the last game of the week. I was how worried I was about this game, and I first of all, this moves my record all time with Tillett Trade Team to 3-6. We had previously been 2-6, and I started to see glimpses of the past. Don't worry, the one of the two times that I had won previously, he went and eliminated me in the playoffs the week after. So I'm still concerned that Tillett is around there to beat me. But we won this week. It was an important win for us. We needed it to keep pace with the other with the Blues and the Whalers. But the 1603ers win 121.28 to 109.94, led largely on the back of the two players that we have. Lamar Jackson with 41.48 points, 17.5 from DJ Moore. Westbrook, which was a mistake, got 7.20 points. McCaffrey with 30.1. Duke Johnson with 6.4. That RB2 is just atrocious for me. Waller finally got himself back into double digits with 12.6. And Tyler Boyd with 2 points. Sly on the sly got 3 points and only 1 from the Carolina defense. I did leave 20 points on the bench with Devontae Parker and 10 from Christian Kirk. So this could have been better for us. Even McKissick, your season goodbye, got 8.3, which was a couple more than the Duke. For Tillett, Tom Brady, and he actually posted about this, that Tom Brady was what cost him the game, especially given that he's a Jets fan. It's got to be extra hurtful for him. But yes, 8.54 points, and Edelman gets the touchdown pass, which that would have made this even closer had Brady gotten that. 14.7 from Julio Jones, 30.4 from Chark. He definitely won that matchup between him and Westbrook. 0 from David Johnson. That certainly helped. Yes, this was the other thing you mentioned. 2 of his players didn't even show up. Although, who was the other one? I guess Everett did show up. He ended up getting 3 points at the end. 12.7 from Fournette. 18.6 from Clam Crowder. Look at that. Marr gets 9 and 13 from the San Francisco defense, which made this very close there towards the, as we went into the evening games, San Francisco was trying to do a Herculean-like effort to get him back in the game. Unfortunately, it was not enough to overcome the 0 from Johnson and the 3 from Everett. But had Everett scored a touchdown, I mean, this becomes a completely different game. Had had Brady thrown that extra touchdown, this becomes a completely different game. The one that I predicted that would happen. I'm just happy to skate out of this one with a victory. And yeah,
I find it puzzling how David Johnson is always listed as active and then doesn't touch the ball.
I know. I don't. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be distressing for him. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's got to be so frustrating for Tillett, and I mean, and he's having really good performances. I mean, Chark was a great pickup. I mean, Julio Jones, he's been decent, and Clam Crowder is a great pickup too, replacing McLaren he had forever. So he's got some pieces there. Fournette has been solid all season long. So it's that RB2 that's hurting him. I mean, yes, the poor performance by Brady this week hurts, but I mean, and also, by the way, he had 30 points from Kyler Murray on the bench. I mean, there was plenty of places that he could have gotten points.
Yeah.
In. So you can't, I am fortunate to have walked away with this one, with a win. I mean, Tillett has the potential. I mean, look, he's still in sixth place. He's still, and you can't discount this team. And the thing that terrifies me is if he puts it together right, which he very well could, and things go wrong for me, I could be facing him in the first round of the playoffs, 3 versus 6, and then I'm just waiting to be eliminated. I mean, and that's what would. I mean, it's my nightmare. It's my nightmare.
I mean, your two guys, Lamar and McCaffrey, I mean, they are absolute monsters. I mean, it's crazy the kinds of points that they put up.
I know.
But the rest of your team, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I don't see, I see you have a good team because you score a crap load of points, but you have the opposite of what the Whalers have. You don't have that depth.
I agree.
So, I don't know.
Booger McFarlane.
What's that?
More Booger McFarlane analysis. I like it.
I mean, look, I think that look, DJ Moore has actually been very good. I don't think that he's the kind of guy that sells jerseys, but he's been quietly very good. I don't know what the hell's going on with Boyd. He has been good in the past, but I mean, never since they put this new quarterback in, he's awful.
He's been a bad Boyd.
Yeah, he's been a very bad Boyd. Sly
Kirk
is no
has been
longer
decent.
Kirk has been decent. I mean, Tate had a bye this week. I mean, we have pieces on this team. It's not just. I mean, look. But how much do you? I mean, when you're getting 70 points from 2 players, you don't need that much from the rest of the garbage.
You don't.
So
you don't.
I mean, look.
But can you count on that to continue happening? I guess based on the way your season has been going, I guess you can.
Yeah, I mean, look. I was criticized for spending what I did on McCaffrey, and Lamar Jackson. I think I got for $3. Nobody wants to take a chance on him. We did. And it's been it's paid off, and it's actually, I mean, without those two, this team is done. You're right, but it really makes it so that we don't need that much. And look, Lamar Jackson he gets points no matter, he gets it running, he gets it passing, he gets it through the touches. So he's gonna get the points even as the weather turns. And McCaffrey, they go to him every time. I think it is reliable to get the he only had one bad week, McCaffrey.
It is.
So
and look who Lamar Jackson plays on the last 2 weeks of the playoffs: the Jets and the Browns.
Yeah. So I mean.
So that's 50 points. I mean, it's
as long as we don't get eliminated by Tillett in that week 14 wild card game, sure. So I mean, then you just have to and then you put together enough out of the rest of them. It makes us competitive. And that's, I mean, at this point, that's what we got to go with.
Yeah.
But is it gonna be enough? to face a team like the
Oh.
Whalers, who has
Yeah.
Mixon and those other, like he has that depth. He could put it in there, but I mean, we'll see. These are really really good matchups, and then Mahomes is still sitting there. He can go off and certainly keep pace with Lamar Jackson. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And like I said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We'll probably get eliminated by Tillett anyway.
I mean, we'll see our matchup in Week 13. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's interesting how that's gonna. I mean, because that's actually going to determine a huge amount, probably. I don't know. Well, it won't for you. I mean, this is the interesting thing. You can clinch first place outright with a win this week. Nobody can catch you if you win this week against Nick and Jamie. If you lose against Nick and Jamie, then suddenly you are one game behind. Everybody else is one game behind. Well, potentially.
That's assuming you win.
That's assuming I win. That's assuming that the Whalers win. That's assuming that the Blues win. And I don't know if they will or won't, but I'm just saying there's the potential that if you were to lose this week, there are 3 teams that could catch you if I am able to win in Week 13. And, if one of us falters, but I am, including me, and I win in Week 13, you could lose first place. So the amount of pressure that is actually on you the next 2, well, I mean, look, you just need one of the 2. If you get one of the 2, then you can just relax. Then you're done. It doesn't matter. You got first place. If you slip up, there are
second place you get a bye as well.
Yeah, but there's also the potential that look. There's the scenario that's still available. If you were to lose against Nick and Jamie this week, and me and Whalers were both to win out, you could find yourself in 3rd place and playing in Week 14.
Yeah, that would suck.
So
that would make me furious.
So it's and mind you, for the top 4 teams, nobody can fall lower than 4th.
Right.
So that's determined. All 4 of those teams have have clinched a playoff spot. The 1603ers, once again clinching the playoff spot, have now made the playoffs every season so far in this league. I do feel proud of myself for that so far. But all of those teams are really good, and the 5 and 6 teams. It's going to be infuriating if one of them ends up beating any of us, but
it's possible.
It is certainly possible, and not only is it certainly possible. We're all fighting for a position. So even if you do get first place, so there's the potential that you could fall out of a bye, depending on how you do these next 2 weeks. If you win this week, then you could put it on cruise control because you've gotten it. But then the three rest of us are then fighting for that last bye spot. So and for seeding, 4 or 5. So there's still a lot of pressure on a lot of us. You could relieve a lot of pressure for yourself if you could beat your quote unquote nemesis. I know. So yeah, there's so many playoff scenarios that could play out. Honestly, the only team that's eliminated is Eugene and Tech, and really the Zamunda, but they're out there playing hard for a spoiler. They want that $10 footlong over there in Zamunda. $10 goes a long way in Zamunda. Yeah. So I guess that's it for this half. We've kind of already gone through the analysis of the stand. When we come back from the break, we can go over the standings and the matchup certainly for next week. We'll try to get hockey on the show. Are you going to the Devils game? Are you doing like a million things between this 20-minute break or this 20-second break?
No.
All right. Well,
not going anywhere this week.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. But this whole season, it's just been so exciting so far. Honestly, I've never seen a split like this in the in the standings. It's quite interesting. I mean, to be in week 12 and to have 10 teams have a legitimate shot at the playoffs. I mean, that's quite competitive, and you just got to get in.
Yeah.
You got to get in, as the Hagglers have proven. You just got to get in.
Booger would agree with that.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. Maybe we'll be back with Dr. Hockey, but I wouldn't hold your breath. And we will see you on the other side of this break. Stay tuned, everybody. All right, welcome back to the show. We were not able to get Dr. Hockey back. Right now we're having some slight technical difficulty with the Yahoo site, but we'll hopefully get through this. A brief programming note. So next week we'll be recording the broadcast on Tuesday night in anticipation of Thanksgiving and my trip out of the country. So we will probably be posting this on Thursday so you can listen to it on the way to your families on Thanksgiving, especially since there will be Thanksgiving days. So we we will be recording it prior to the transactions going through, so our normally inaccurate predictions will be even worse than they normally are. Okay, so let's go through the transactions from last night. So we have $50 for Baker Mayfield going to Dave's Secret Crush.
Woo!
Yeah, Geese. I mean, it's not quite the $65 benchmark that was set by Geese, but all right, whatever. Eugene's been eliminated. He could spend his money wildly at this point. But I don't think you need to spend. I mean, there's like a lot of big spending that's going on, probably from you having set the bar so high. $40 for Williams, the running back in Indianapolis. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that's actually a good pickup for the next 2 weeks since Mac is gone and Nick and Jamie had him, so they need to replace him. So I don't think it's a bad pickup. It's just a lot of money. Speaking about a lot of money, the Bellagio, a room at the Bellagio is $21, not including resort fees. And so this is an interesting pickup for a number of reasons. So I was looking, me and Geese, we were looking at Bellagio last night, and so first of all, this is on the heels of Mark Walton. He was supposed to be coming. He had a 4-game suspension. He was supposed to be coming back. He was arrested last night. So let's go through the Walton description because I find this. It's okay. So Walton arrested for domestic violence. Fox Sports' Andy Slater reports Mark Walton was arrested Tuesday morning. Walton is accused of punching his 5-week pregnant girlfriend several times in the face and head 24 hours after discovering he was the father. He was arrested Tuesday morning in South Florida and promptly waived by the Dolphins. It's Walton's 4th arrest in the past year following his 3 violations this offseason. It would obviously spell the end of Walton's career if the allegations are proved true. So yes, on the heels of that, because, all right, the Bellagio was filling in for the 4-week period. I mean, he was his backup. Now he's going to be the number 1 guy in Miami, obviously. So Tillett, having seen that, picked him up now that he's going to be the starter throughout. But he has been, I mean, like, I even considered getting him. I mean, like, you look at his schedule towards the end of the season, it's good. He's the number 1 guy there. He's pretty much the only guy there. So you think, okay, but he has been, even in that, like, I was still considering him, but I was not going to pay $21 for him, certainly. I dropped him this last week. He ended up with 12, and that's with a touchdown. But, I mean, if you look at Bellagio's stats, it's atrocious. So first of all, I would just like to read to you one interesting thing that I sent to Keys, which I find enormously hilarious. So the Dolphins will continue to give chances to Kellen Ballage, whose 1.9 per carry average is on pace to be the lowest this century among qualifying NFL backs. So that's one. That's one thing that dissuaded me against him. And then this was the description of Ballage. And in the advice section, I think this is one of the best things I've ever heard. Balaj delivered a long run of 7 yards in Sunday's defeat. He kept up appearances with a 3-yard rushing score, his only highlight in an otherwise listless performance. A low-wattage plotter with brick hands, Balaj has predictably tanked in his 2 games filling in for suspended workhorse Mark Walton, producing an embarrassing 62 yards on 38 touches over that span. Even with next to no competition in a barren backfield, Balaj remains an option only for the most desperate, down-on-their-luck fantasy owners. We wouldn't count on him turning the corner next week in Cleveland, and when they describe the most desperate, down-on-their-luck fantasy owners, apparently they're talking about Tillett Trey team. So,
yes.
So, he's a desperate man at the end of his rope, willing to pay $21. For him, I understand the pickup, but I don't know. I understand why people have also stayed away, including myself. Cobb went to Wakanda for $12. Wilkins went to the Whalers for $6. That's not a bad pick, but especially considering that Whalers continues to load up in his backfield. I mean, he's the third down pass catching back. It makes sense, and it just continues to show his, moves to have depth at that running back position. It's a good pickup, especially with Singletary not doing that well this last week, and really the last couple of weeks. I still think that he has Mixon and who's the other guy that he has that's been really good on his bench? Whatever, I don't even know. You just listen to the show, you could find. Okay, Dave Secret Crush picked up the Cleveland defense for $4. Is Yahoo acting up again? Because then it just says trading away for a bunch of things there. So I don't know what's going on with Yahoo right now. But hey, it lets us go through the standings. So let's do that because I don't know. Oh, wait, it's back. Okay. All right, so after that, anything else? Brisket for $2 for Hackettstown's Finest. I picked up the Green Bay defense and the Atlanta kicker. No me. Cool. Okay, Darnold for Aguilar. And then Griffin for Dallas over in Hackettstown for the Hagglers. And then you dropped the Buffalo defense for Detroit. Making some... Oh, and Nyheim Hines for Font. Interesting moves there. You also dropped Keenan Allen. Oh yes, you're going into just dropping the trash mode. Look at this. Tyler Gabriel you picked up. That's a good pickup actually. He's been pretty good lately. Wakanda picked up Chuck Scarborough
of course. There you go.
Right. We said somebody was going to, and of course it was him. He's not. I mean, we went over this analysis in the first part of the show. He drops Audwin Tate or Auden Tate. Who I think was carted off the field, so whatever. He's picking him up for nothing. Whalers dropped Jared Cook. Then I guess he was picked up by Hackettstown's Finest for Samuel, and then Benny Hill was dropped, whatever the guy's actual name is, by Nick and Jamie. All right, so that's the transactions so far. As far as the standings, we both have a pretty clear picture and a not clear picture whatsoever. So, obviously the Finest are in first place with a 10-1 record. Then we get to the next group of teams, the 2 through 4s, the 1603ers with an 8-3 record, the Whalers and the Blues also with an 8-3 record. Then we jump down 2 spots, or well, actually 3 wins away from that. To the Hagglers, Tillett, and Wakanda, all with 5 and 6 records, so they're in that group. Then you get back to the logjam of the 4 and 7 teams, which is the Lightning Rods, the Memphis Monkeys, Nick and Jamie. And then Zamunda moves ahead again. Zamunda's not in last place with that win. That's quite impressive. Followed by the champ is here. The champ was here he is here in last place with a 2-9 record. So, we could kind of get into some scenarios here, because this is... So, right now, if the Finest wins one game, they will have clinched first place.
Yes.
Your magic number is 1. For the 2 through 4 teams, they all technically have a chance to get first place. But they need you to lose out both games. If you do falter and lose both, then any of them can potentially take it over, though the Whalers would be the only one with the 1603ers and the Whalers would be the only ones with a reasonable shot. I mean, the Blues are way too high, way too low in points to realistically catch up. I mean, it's like more than 100 points that they have to make up in 2 weeks.
Me and you have that head-to-head going on week 13, so that will, that gives you a better chance than the Whalers.
Right, but I mean, I still have a game against the Hagglers this week, and if we were to lose, then they will have an opportunity. So basically, it comes down to this. You play this week, and we can get into this when you get into the games, but if you win against Nick and Jamie, then that's great. You can start preparing for your playoffs, because nothing, as far as standings go, nothing's going to change there. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You're playing for the streak at that point, because right now you do have a 10-game winning streak that's tied for the all-time record. And you can actually exceed the record and set the record if you win this week. And continue it on if you win in going forth past that. If you lose, then suddenly things open up a lot.
Yeah.
If you lose this week, then that puts you in a situation in week 13 where you could find yourself in third place and not even having the bye. So I cannot stress the enormity of the game that you have this week.
Yeah, it's a big game. Plus, I want revenge on Nick and Jamie.
Exactly. There's a lot playing into that.
Yeah, it's a big game for me this week. Because I don't want that, I'm pretty sure you're going to beat the Hagglers, with the Hagglers. I mean, it's not that they have a bad team. It's just they have a lot of guys on the bye. So, I don't have my fate, resting on that Week 13 game against you, especially since you have more points.
Sure. Right. So, I mean, that's the situation that basically arises there. Now, here's the thing. If any one of the, if the 1603ers lose any of these games, then, honestly, I think the Whalers and the Blues are going to win out. But, if the 1603ers falter, then the Whalers will have the first shot at getting the bye, if not the Blues. So basically, all of these teams. So you have to win one of the two, and all three in that logjam have to win all of them, kind of, to have a chance at the bye. Mm-hmm. If they don't want the bye, the lowest they could fall is fourth. So that's the scenario for all of them. Any loss kind of almost eliminates them from the playoffs. Now, as far as the Hagglers go, and Tillett, Trey, and Wakanda, so there's 3 teams playing for 2 spots. Now, there are still the 4 and 7 logjam. They still have an opportunity to make it. I mean, they're 1 game back, and if there's a loss by the Hagglers, which is possible, or Tillett or Wakanda, then any one of them can vault up, and they have a shot in the last week of the season. They don't control their own destiny. And here's the thing. If the Hagglers or Tillett win either, or Wakanda, win any game this season, they put themselves in a very good position to make the playoffs. It doesn't mean that they'll necessarily get there, but if they could win just one, they have a good shot of getting there. So, and Zamunda really has no realistic shot, and Dave Seeger crushes out. But this is a week where it's time to win. I know that everybody is just faltering back, 4 and 7, 5 and 6. I mean, honestly, a 4 and 7 team could find themselves at 3. I mean, that's the 3 and 8 is stretching it. It's mathematically possible. It's just not going to happen. But Zamunda with a loss would officially be eliminated. And a loss for any of the 4 and 7 teams, and you're done. I think they're finally. Are they officially done? No.
I mean, 5 and 8 could. I mean, they could sneak in, depending on the matchups.
Yeah, depending on their points. Yeah. Well, actually, we looked at the matchups, and he's miraculously he could get in. He could not win another regular season game, and he can get in at 5-8 at fifth place.
Fifth place, mind you, not just
crazy.
Weekend.
Is that because all the teams towards the bottom are playing one of the top 4 teams, or
Yes.
like teams in that logjam?
Pretty much. So, obviously, you and I play the last week of the season, but the Whalers and the Blues have games against teams in that bottom bracket. The last week of the season, Nick and Jamie play Zamunda. The Hagglers play Dave's Secret Crush the last week of the season. So it's possible to work out this way. It's crazy, but it could work out that the Hagglers could feasibly not win another game, and yet
If some 5 and 8 teams wins this whole league by beating 11 and 1 or 11 and 2 or 10 and 3 team, that's gonna be crazy.
I know. I don't want it to happen, being that I'm not a 5 and 8 team, but it would be. I mean, I don't even know what you do with it. You just have to tip your hat for a well-managed playoff and quite a run in those last 3 games to overcome.
Going on a 10 game winning streak, I'm gonna have a hard time tipping my cap to anyone who's 5 and 8 and beats me.
I mean,
but they'll have gone through the third place team, the second place team, and the first place team.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you'd have. Well, they wouldn't necessarily go through the third, but they would have to go through.
They would. Well, depending.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely would have to go through the first place team or the second place. Like they're gonna have to beat some real teams to win those games. So.
Yeah. Well, if McCaffrey slips on a banana peel,
that's true too. I mean, this is why it's a long season and anything can happen at that point, which is why you want to make sure that you try to get those buys. All right, so let's go analyze these games, and maybe we can go into a little bit more in depth about the scenarios after we go over these games. I think probably a good place to start is that game between you, the finest, and Nick and Jamie, the rematch of the first week game. These are all rematch games. So, can you get vindication? Can they emerge as your nemesis? This is a very interesting game. So right now the projection is 121 to 110 in favor of Hackettstown's finest. You've got 2 players in that Thursday night game. You've got Brisket and Hopkins going then, and you have 1 player on the Monday night game, which is Todd Gurley. For Nick and Jamie, they have Williams and Fells and Hilton. So they got 3 going in that game. Do they have any Monday nights? No, but this could come down to Monday night for you. All right, so the Pittsburgh defense is playing Cincinnati. That's good for them, but you've got the Oakland defense playing against the Jets. Ridley against Tampa Bay. There's a good opportunity for him there. Golladay against Washington. I do like that matchup. John Brown versus Denver. I mean, look, you've got Chubb and Hunt. You're playing them both, but they're both playing Miami. I think that's a smart play. And then you have Gurley going versus Baltimore. That's a more difficult play. But, hopefully you...
Yeah, I'm thinking about putting Josh Gordon in. That's a debate I'm having with myself, but...
Well, when is Josh Gordon's game? So it's Sunday. So
Sunday.
I mean, that's the kind of decision you can actually make after the Thursday game, depending on how well your players do. I mean, once again, Nick and Jamie are playing their flex on Thursday. You know how I feel about that. But
yeah.
So be it if that's what they choose to do. And given that AJ Green, he's still sidelined. He's probably not going to play, but he's a possibility. Do you really want to lock all of this? I just don't like the move, but whatever. That's what it is. So, thoughts on this game? I'll let you go first since it's your team. What do you think? Are you worried?
He's not worried.
I know he's never worried, but I'm saying is
Never. I'm worried about the Galladay matchup. I could see him going for 30 plus points against Washington.
What about Ridley? I think Ridley's the more dangerous one. Tampa Bay, they give up a lot.
Yeah,
of
their
points.
pass defense is horrendous. But they got Julio there, so it depends who Matt Ryan decides to target. Well, I mean, Detroit also, depends if he targets Galladay or Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
So,
but if he hits the lottery and he gets both of those guys,
yeah, I know that. Those guys could go for like 5-point games, but they can also go for 30-point games. So,
yeah,
I'm worried about that. Derrick Henry actually has been pretty good recently.
Yeah.
So that's another guy I'm a little bit worried about. A lot riding on this Thursday night game.
Right, and Williams, frankly, I mean, he's filling in for Marlon Mack. If he has Marlon Mack kind of numbers, he could do well too. I mean, his projection is low, but I mean, it could go higher than that.
Those AFC games tend to be shootouts.
Yeah.
Those AFC South games.
Mm-hmm. And then you have two running backs in the same team playing in the same game. Now, granted, they're playing Miami, which if you're gonna have two running backs from the same team playing in the same game, that's who you want them to play.
They've not both been going crazy, but they've been both getting around 10 to 15 points, both of them. So
right.
If I can get 30, 35 points between the two of them, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah. So I see. Look, I do think that the Finest is going to win this game, but I can see a scenario where they don't. I can certainly see it happening.
Yeah, a lot of good matchups for the Nick and Jamie. Those two receivers plus Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. That's an excellent matchup. So
I mean, just as a coach, like what I mean, because if this was me going into this game, and I know that I'm playing the second place team, a week from now, and there's a potential that if I lose this game, I could go from being in first place to not even getting a bye. I'm almost throwing all of my eggs at this basket. This is the one that I'm doing everything I possibly can to win. Because if you get the win now, you could just go into playoff mode immediately. You could start stocking up for week 14 and 15 with no competition there, and you can just ride it out. If you could get the win now, and you will have almost a half a month advantage on everybody else in terms of that. Whereas if you lose, you suddenly, it all comes down to that week 13 game. And if that doesn't work out, I mean, are you prepared for a wild card game at this point? I can't imagine that you are. I
am not. My ego is too high to prepare for that game.
Exactly. So I think that this is really where you got to throw everything.
Yeah, but I mean, I like my chances against you as well. So it's not like, if I lose this game, I'm going to be devastated. I still...
No, I mean, look, you have a legitimate shot in that game, too. I'm just saying that just from a standings perspective, seems like a dicier situation to be in. You find yourself with your back against the wall. Whereas you could just eliminate all of that right now.
Right. But, I'll have half a month to prepare for the playoffs. But then again, this is going to be pretty much my team going into the playoffs. I mean, it's not like all the buys are done. Hopefully there are no injuries. But, it's going to be kind of hard to pick up anyone better than who I have on the waiver wire at that point.
I mean, that's a fair point, too.
So any way I get the bye, I'll be happy. But, of course, I want to win this game.
Yeah. Geese, your predictions for this game?
I think Nick and Jamie play loose. Yeah. They got the champ's number. I think I like Nick and Jamie on this one.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
I mean, I certainly think that it's possible, especially given the way that this season has gone, that this would be
the only ones who have beaten him. I see no reason. They've earned the right to get the nod.
My 2 losses will be to Nick and Jamie. That would be crazy.
Not only that, but if they
3 losses.
Yeah, because not only that, if they win this game, they find themselves they're a desperate team at the end of their pitiful rope, and if they win this game, they suddenly find themselves in potentially in 6th place. And if they're in 6th place, and then you lose next week, that's the 3rd time that you will have to face this team, and they will clearly be your lightning rod. The lightning rod, what is it on the SATs? The lightning rods is to the Hackettstown Hagglers as Nick and Jamie is to the Hackettstown's finest. Or you could just eliminate that all right now.
Yeah. So if I beat them, I would have beaten all 11 opponents in a row.
That's true. You will have beaten every team in this league at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have a long streak in the league. What?
One win, and they're basically knocked out of the playoffs recently.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You can stick the dagger in the team that gave you your only loss.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big game. But I do see some challenges being posed, especially due to the matchups.
I know.
So.
All right. So, moving on to other games. Let's see. Is there any games that don't mean shit? No. But I think one of the lesser games, because I just think it's a foregone conclusion, is the Mighty Whalers versus the Monkeys. The Whalers are favored 131 to 100, 131.28 to 100.27 in favor of the Whalers. He's got Watson playing on Thursday. There is nobody playing for the Monkeys on Thursday, including their defense not playing at all this week. They seem to have cashed it in with Renfro. They're playing Renfro now after he got the 10 points. Can they turn it around? I mean, they've got Marvin Jones Jr. We've seen him do well. Sanu was awful last week. Can White turn it around? He's still got Barkley. Who's his other? Oh, Dalvin Cook has no. Dalvin Cook isn't even playing. Oh my God. Is there? Oh yeah, and then Whalers is playing Mixon now again. Tyler Lockett, is he back to practicing again? Shin officially limited Wednesday, but it's probably we'll see. Whatever. Either way, he still has Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson. He's playing Jalen Samuels, so he's playing both running backs in that Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. But Samuels now should probably do really well. Samuels was the other guy, by the way. There is nothing I see here to suggest that the Monkeys have a prayer at this game. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
No, I'm pretty much agree with that.
Yeah, I think that this is the Whalers Harambe game.
They have so much freaking depth at running back. It's ridiculous.
I know.
And it's starting to scare me going into the playoffs.
Exactly. This is a very scary team. And nobody's going to laugh at my Harambe game comment. Come on, that's hilarious. This is the Whalers Harambe game. They're going to put the monkey out. I guess, what was he, a gorilla? Whatever. This is where he gets put out of his misery. Whalers are going to win this going away. I don't think there's any question about it. I don't even know.
This is my lock of the week.
I don't even know what the Monkeys could do here to win. They would have to have, no pun intended, but this monkey would have to have the whale or slip on the banana peel. Just take one of those monkey banana peels that he's eating and just throw it under the whale. He'd have to have like 5 of them. The Whalers
just to take all the drama out of it, because if Monkeys lose and Nick and Jamie lose, they're basically eliminated from playoff contention.
Yes.
So a lot of these teams they might not even make it to the Week 13 grand finale.
That's true. Look, I think there's certainly a better chance for Nick and Jamie to make it to the Week 13 grand finale. Look, it's a question of, because here's the thing. If somehow the Whalers were to lose, which I don't think is possible, then suddenly the focus of the league starts to move. The Overton window moves a little bit further down in the standings. We're either focusing on the 1%, we're fighting over those top 4 and really those top 2 playoff spots, or we're focused on the bottom half as to whether or not they're going to get in. Because a Whalers loss here would be devastating.
The entire playoff picture decided this week.
No, but you're gonna get you're gonna get some clarity in it. You're gonna filter out some of these teams definitely, and I think the Monkeys is one of the first ones to filter out.
I know Bernie Sanders is rooting for the Memphis Monkeys. He wants to redistribute the wealth.
I know the 1%. The 1%. He's fighting for the 99%. So, but I think, just like Bernie Sanders' chances in the actual presidential election, I think the Monkeys have no chance. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. Whatever. All right, moving on. All right, well, let's go to the one eliminated team so far.
The champ is here.
The champ is here. Last place is here.
Well, he's in what? This week, so he's in the Supreme Court this week, right? Because he was in the appellate division.
Well, ironically, in New York, the Supreme Court is the lowest court in the state, so maybe he is.
He's the lowest team in the league. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All right, Tillett Trey right now is favored 122.28 to 108.43. The vaunted Baker Mayfield is playing Miami, so that's at least good for him. Godwin and Evans are playing versus Tampa Bay. Or sorry, they are Tampa Bay. What am I saying? They're playing at Atlanta, so it's not as good as I thought. Never mind. They're not even going to do anything. Amari Cooper at New England. That's a tough matchup. Jacobs at the Jets. Okay, there's something there. Miles Sanders versus Seattle. Miles Bernie Sanders versus Seattle. He's got Hawkinson at Washington. Lambeau Field, the kicker, is playing at Tennessee, and he's not even going with the defense at this point. Why is he not? I guess I would hope that he's going to at least try to get a defense. But clearly, if he's spending $50, he's still playing for that $5 footlong. For Tillett Trey, Brady versus Dallas, that's a tough matchup. He actually has his receiver playing against Tampa Bay in Julio Jones, who's questionable. DJ Chark is questionable at Tennessee. Why are they questionable? What's that? Let's see. Chark says nothing about his questionable status, and Julio Jones.
They're playing.
Yeah, foot sidelined Wednesday, but he'll play. Fournette at Tennessee, and then he's going with the Bellagio for his standard 8 points. I mean, he is atrocious. I'm telling you, he's atrocious. 8.5 the week before. When he took over the role, that's 20 rushes for 43 yards. And then the week after, he got 12.7 points with a touchdown. 9 rushing attempts for 9 yards. He's atrocious. But he might be able to get minimum wage there. I don't know. So all right, Olsen at New Orleans. What's Olsen been doing lately? He has some good games and some bad games. He's been pretty good lately. 17 and 10 the last 2 weeks. He's going against New Orleans now. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Still got Zerline the kicker, and he's got the San Francisco defense versus Green Bay. I mean,
I don't know how good those Tampa Bay receivers are going to be because Atlanta has been feasting on the NFC South in the last 2 games.
They have. They've actually been pretty good. I just don't. I mean, Tillett's going to win this, I think. And then and if the Tillett wins this might clinch a playoff spot for them. This is their best opportunity to clinch a playoffs. I mean, I don't think it'll actually officially clinch one, but it'll really, really make it it'll put the pressure on the other teams, and it will make essentially it a race for that one last playoff spot if they can win this. And I think they'll
be the driver's seat to make the playoffs if they can win this one.
And they'll probably be in 5th place.
Yep.
So
Dallas is pretty good against the pass. If I was Tillett, I would actually consider picking up the Detroit quarterback Driscoll, who actually can run pretty well. He's playing Washington.
Yeah. I mean,
So I don't know. Brady is not a great fantasy player right now.
no. But
Yeah.
I mean, but he also has oh wait, Kyler Murray's out this week. So
Yeah.
I mean, what has Brady been doing? I mean, because the thing is, it's all based on touchdowns, and Brady doesn't throw that many touchdowns, especially when his receivers are throwing it. I mean, 8 points in the last game, obviously, for him. 16, 22. I mean, they're average numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still think Tillett wins this. I think that the matchups for Dave's Secret Crush are just bad.
Yeah, I mean, all season he's just been finding ways to lose. So
It's true. Can he find a way to win finally?
I mean, like, he has like 200 more points than the Zamunda Lions, who are in 11th place, which is crazy to have 200 more points and have a worse record. That's crazy.
And if he loses this week, here's something. If he loses this week and Zamunda wins, he will have clinched last place. So just like we have somebody who can clinch first, we have somebody who can clinch last. And complete.
He's determined to get the tray. He's driven.
He is a driven man. Yes.
Driven insane.
Maybe that's why he doesn't have a defense in there.
I know. He really wants to play hard for that tray. Maybe that's something we'll add next year.
Their defense when they want to win, right? So
Chump charity.
Yeah.
He's always talking about how he wants more money for the champ. You know, I've heard he's been quiet on that front ever since he's been in last place. But every year he's always like he wants more money for the champ. Maybe next year we'll institute a rule that everybody gets $5 back per game except for the tray winner.
Oh, I like that.
The tray winner has to give all of their winnings to the first place team. Maybe that'll be an extra incentive for him. I don't know. We'll see. Although the whole point of the $5 back per game is to keep incentivizing you to play. But I guess that's incentive to play because you could lose all of that money that you quote unquote won. So you definitely don't want to be in last. I'm thinking about this.
I like that.
Maybe we'll propose this next year. But don't say you like this. I told you the politics of this league. Everybody hates you. Be against it, and then everybody will be for it. That's all I need. Manny doesn't want this, and then it'll win.
Never mind. I don't want this.
Exactly. It'll win 12 to. It'll win actually 12-0 because you'll secretly vote for it anyway. All right. So moving on to the next game. Unless anybody has any. Oh wait, your predictions. Is anybody predicting Eugene to win?
No, I'm gonna go with Tillett.
What's that? Geese? Hello? Geese?
No, Tillett tray.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, so let's move on to the next game, which is the Blues versus the Lightning Rods. So this is an interesting one. Now, the Lightning Rods actually has a lot of points in their, in their bank. So a win for the Lightning Rods vaults them higher than it would another team. But there's some problems here. Now, right now, the Blues don't have a quarterback in there because Mahomes is on a bye. He might want to consider Driscoll. He's got a lot of players on a bye, actually. He's got Hardman on a bye, Rudolph. He's got a lot of byes right there. So he needs to figure out himself out a quarterback. Right now, the projection is 94.76 to 93.52 in favor of the Blues, and the Blues he's favored without a quarterback. That being said, the Lightning Rods don't have Stephon Diggs, who's also on a bye in there, so he doesn't have his kicker, Butker, so who knows what's going to happen with these teams. You'd think that they, this would be, pre-Trey games. Like these are teams that are fighting for a lot now. What is going on here? Are they holding out? Are they not letting anybody know what their secret lineup is until the last second here? What's going on? Beckham versus Miami. This is finally an opportunity for Beckham to shine. Hollywood Brown at the Rams. Tevin Coleman versus Green Bay. What did Coleman do last week?
Not much.
Not much. Okay. Aaron Jones playing against him on the other side. And what did he do last week? He didn't play, but he got 27 points the week before that. Okay. Metcalf at wide receiver. For the Lightning Rods, Goff versus Baltimore. That's a tough. Even with his quarterback playing, that's tough. Elliott at New England. That's tough. I don't know.
A lot of tough matchups in this.
Game. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, that's how it's projected. But I'd go with the Blues if they can find a decent quarterback.
Yes. I mean, let's see. Who does the Lightning Rods? I mean, he's got Kenny Stills. He's got some receivers that he could put in there. Obviously, he could go find himself a kicker. Question is, who does he drop other than the kicker? Because I guarantee you, if he drops that kicker, somebody's going to be ready to snarf him up. He better drop him up at like 2 a.m.
Harrison Butker.
Oh,
yeah, he's been putting up points.
Yeah, I can tell you that the Midnight Vultures will certainly be circling the waters for him as much as we like our new kicker.
Yeah, I've been okay with Prater, but I mean he's put up only 3 points the last week, so
I've no longer been getting points on the sly, so
yeah. Well, hopefully your Asian kicker can do you.
I hope so. This is a tough game to predict because we don't know who's going to be in there. That being said, I guess I pick the Blues.
Yeah. What do you think, Gaza?
Oh, the Blues easy. I need the Blues. What are you talking about? Why would I even think?
I mean, you're not superstitiously picking the... I mean, you're not like... You don't have any impact. It's not like you get to pick and go, oh, this is what happens. I mean, I know who you're rooting for, but who do you think will win?
Blues.
Yeah, okay.
I'm kind of rooting for the Blues, too, if the 1603s and the Whalers lose, because I think you and the Whalers have way better teams. So if there's anyone to threaten my number 1 seed, I would rather have the Blues be threatening.
Right, and I'm obviously rooting for the Blues to lose because that eliminates one team that can take over. So we all have our rooting interests. Yet, if we're trying to be even remotely objective here, which we know we're not, I think we all think that the Blues is going to win.
Yes.
And 2/3 and 1/3 of and 2/3 of us want the Blues to win. So okay. Moving
We can have an almost pretty much set playoff picture, or we can have a 7-team logjam next week.
Well, the logjam is already set at the top. I mean, so the top 4. I mean, that's the other really interesting thing is that the top 4 going into the second to last week of the season. The top 4 are locked. Nobody's falling out of the 1%. Nobody's falling lower than 4th. The Blues can take off for the next 2 weeks, and they'll be in 4th.
I love how Eugene has scored more points than the Blues.
Is that true? Is that
yeah,
actually
that's true? That's true. It's crazy. He scored 23 more points than the Blues.
That's
insane.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That would make for great office fodder. Oh yeah, you're in last place. Oh yeah, well I have more points than you, motherfucker. It's the Electoral College.
Right.
It's not the popular vote. Sorry.
Well, if it was the popular vote, I definitely wouldn't be in first.
That's true too. This damn electoral college. All right. But that's what makes this so fun. Okay, so that leaves us with 2 games. One of them being the Zamunda Lions, the Hagler's new favorite team.
Go Zamunda!
Zamunda is favored in this game, 114.16 to 104.88. Prescott does have a difficult matchup at New England. Amendola at Washington. I mean, he's got Tyrell Williams at the Jets. Kamara versus Carolina. He's still got Connor. Is Connor going to play? He's sidelined at practice. It's been forever. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Still going with Gesicki. Geis, he's actually...
Does Yahoo use doubtful, or they only use questionable and out?
No, they have doubtful. In fact, if you look down, I believe... Oh, wow. Well, Kittle last week was doubtful. So, yes, they do use doubtful.
Okay.
So, he's been upgraded to questionable. Geis has actually been pretty good. Why is he only getting a 7.8? Does nobody... Oh, because I think they think that he's going to split it with Adrian Peterson. No, he's not. If anybody's ever watched any Washington games, they do everything they can to make sure that Adrian Peterson doesn't get it. The only reason why Adrian Peterson even had remote good weeks is because they literally had no other choice. But now,
or to move up on the all-time of meaningless whatever.
Right, if he needs like some ridiculous all-time stat, they'll let him have it. They'll let him get his touchdown, and then it's like, all right, you're going back to the bench.
Nope.
So guys will get those points. This kicker's Tucker Carlson and the New Orleans defense. Let's see. So, Breeze versus Carolina. Cooper Kupp versus Baltimore. Cooper Kupp has not been good, and he's playing against a difficult team, but it's on Monday night. Randall Cobb, who we just picked up, he decided to pick him up at New England. I don't know why you're doing that, though it does help the fact that Prescott is playing, so his quarterback will be throwing to Wakanda's receiver. Mark Ingram has actually been very good. He's also playing on the Monday night game. At the Rams, Le'Veon Bell versus Oakland. That should be a good game for him. Jack Doyle, I don't think he's done shit. He has Chuck Scarborough at Washington, so that a battle of the running backs in the Detroit-Washington game will decide this. Wow. That has huge implication for the entire season. The running backs for Washington and Detroit. Okay. And then, of course, Wakanda has the New England defense, hoping that they sack Zamunda's quarterback the entire time. I think Zamunda wins this game. I mean, I think these are two... Well, Amendola's bad, but I mean, Cooper Kupp and Cobb give me no confidence. Cooper
Kupp was great before he got traded.
He was, and then he went to Wakanda, and he sucks. Cobb got 22 and 21 points the last 2 weeks, but he's played against Minnesota and Detroit. Now he's going at New England. At New England. Does anybody know what the weather's supposed to be like this weekend? I mean, I don't see Dallas going into New England and doing well.
Maybe that's why hockey got Chuck Scarborough. You want to know what the weather?
That's why he got what?
Scarborough.
Oh, yeah.
The weather.
Is that me that's ruffling around over there, or is that one of you?
I think that's your connection.
All right, well, whatever. Facebook.
It's supposed to be rain and 42 in Foxborough on Sunday.
Yeah, they're not going to do well. Okay, well, let's... I don't know. Who do you guys think in this game? I know who you're rooting for.
I'm not going to tell you with no hesitation. Go Zamunda.
I know Manny actually probably doesn't give a flying fuck what happens in this game.
I do not. I want injuries. I'm rooting for injuries. Just in case I have to play them in the playoffs.
Well, you're not going to have to play Zamunda.
Rooting for injuries.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, if I have to play Wakanda.
I'm rooting for injuries.
Why don't you pick up Madison while you're at it? Because then you could just be in the whole rooting for injury game. The musical chairs of rooting for injury games. Granted, he's not going to get injured this week because he's on a bye. This might be the first week that
has Madison for the playoffs and Cook is injured. Oh my god.
I know.
That's all we need for Manny to pick up.
I mean, he's rooting for injuries. What can we say?
Yeah.
I'm rooting for injuries.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
I mean, I'm not rooting for anyone to swing their helmet, against anyone's head. I'm just rooting for someone to
Why not?
have a minor
Are you rooting for
concussion and just
suspensions?
be out for week. Suspension would be fine. I just want them to be out for week 15 and 16, and then I'm good.
What if they're not out for week 14 and you have to play in week 14?
No one on my team. Just like anyone on the Attila Trey or Wakanda.
All right. So rooting for injuries and suspensions. Anything else? Domestic violence? Are you rooting for that?
No.
Arrests?
That's okay. No, that's all right.
What else can happen? A plane crash? Like, what are you rooting for? Like, how bad do you want it to get?
No, just
a blizzard where the team can't show up? No, because then they'll replay the game. You don't want that.
I want MCL sprains, not ACL sprains, just MCL sprains.
MCL. What's the difference?
Because MCL is like a 4-week injury.
How long is ACL? That's like career.
It's a full season.
That's like
a full season.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, at least you have somewhat of a heart. I don't want their whole lives to be devastated. What about a turf toe? That seems to be an innocuous.
Turf toe is good.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
good.
an innocuous that you'll be gone forever if you have turf toe, right, Keys?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm rooting for injuries.
Yes,
Like,
he's rooting for some turf toe. Any prediction on who's going to win this?
I guess I'm gonna go with Zamunda because of the matchup problems for Wakanda.
This is corrupt for most of these teams.
I think that, honestly, I think Ingram and Bell will overcome, because I don't think Connor's going to play very well if he plays at all. I'm picking Wakanda.
Prescott is gonna struggle. Kamara will be okay. I mean, I'm expecting a low-scoring game.
I am too, but I'm picking to pick Wakanda.
Dr. Hockey end till it win, I'll find myself out of a playoff spot.
Right, but then you'll have to win next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's certainly possible that Wakanda might lose next week. I don't know. We'll see. I think... we'll see. I mean, you had great luck last week. Let's see if it can continue. I mean, I do think that... This is a good game, though. But I do think... this is a bad game, but that makes it a good game. It'll be a close game. Let's just put it that way. I do think Wakanda actually pulls this one out slightly, but I wouldn't be surprised the other way.
Nice.
It's not what I'm rooting for. I have no rooting interest in this whatsoever. I'm neither rooting
for...
Is
Mundus selling T-shirts online?
I don't know. I'm neither rooting for or against these teams, nor am I rooting for injuries or divorces or any bad things to happen to any of these players. I don't care. I'm hoping for a good, clean game. No low blows. No body. Nothing. I don't care who wins this game. I don't care, and I don't. No, nothing. An Ingram injury does nothing for me either. I don't care. Nothing. I don't care. Whatever. Go ahead. Move along. All right, but I do think Wakanda maybe pulls that out. All right, that leaves us with the last game of the week, which is the rematch of the championship game from season 5, with odds very much like the championship game of season 5, which is why, despite all of the odds makers, I'm sure, giving me an advantage, I do not take a 1603 or a Hackettstown Hagler game for granted ever again. I'm not even going to eat a burrito on Sunday. Until the final snap is done, I am not looking away from this game. Officially,
Sam Darnold is going to be starring as Joe Flacco.
Yes.
Himes will be starring as Capri Bibbs.
Griffin will be Antonio Gates.
Starring as Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the same themes going on here.
Yeah, exactly. So the projection is 126.09 to 106.35. I mean, this is exactly the kind of game that the 1603ers lose, and it's going to infuriate me if they do. There's no reason for us to lose this game, but it's the kind of game we lose. But to be honest with you, I will tell you this: if I have to lose to either one of the two Hackettstown's teams right now, I would rather lose to the Hagglers. Not only just because I don't want to hear Manny's mouth, but I would like to get it over with now. If I'm going to lose one of these two games, I want to lose now, because then I'll just start prepping for week 14. Just get it over with, because I know, at that point, I know that, I know, not with certainty, but I know fairly confidently that the Whalers, because I'm pretty sure the Whalers are going to win this week, and then in week 13, the Whalers play, what joke of a team do they play? Well, it's not a joke of a team, but they played
one of the log jam.
Yeah, they play the Lightning Rods. They're still going to beat the Lightning Rods. No. If I lose this game, or did I say, is it the Lightning Rods? Yeah, it is the Lightning Rods. Yeah. No, the Whalers are winning out. And if they don't, the Blues will win out. So if we lose one of these two games, we know if any one of those, that's it. So I'm ready to shut it down at that point and just focus on week 14 at that point, because we know we're going to play in the wildcard game.
I wouldn't mind that to happen either.
I would mind it. This is not something I'm rooting for.
I greatly want the Hagglers to win.
I'm sure that there's 2 out of the 3 teams in this one that are rooting for the Hagglers as well. I think that's pretty much a given.
Would that say Hagglers are back in rematch in the wild card round?
Ooh.
4 versus 5. It could. Yeah, but look, this is not something I want. This is a game that we should handle our business and get this over with and just move on.
Well, Harback is a double-edged sword. He knows very well what happened when he beat the Hagglers by 100 points 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I don't want to beat you by 100 points. I just want to win and move on and focus on the game that I give a shit about. Look, there's only so much I could do, but I have been stockpiling a team for 2 weeks from now. I don't know if you've looked at the lineup, but there's a reason why I picked up the Green Bay defense at San Francisco this week. It's not because I think Green Bay is going to do well against San Francisco or going to do anything against San Francisco. It's because Green Bay plays the Giants in week 13. I have set it up. In week 13, my entire team has green matchups. Up and down. We'll see what Boyd does, but right now Boyd is playing is playing the Jets. We got Parker at Philadelphia. We know how they love to give it up to receivers. McCaffrey versus Washington. McKissick versus Chicago. Waller versus KC. Westbrook versus Tampa Bay. I am going full tilt for week 13 because right now, so if the Hagglers come in here and beat me, good for them. Fuck them, but we will just focus on 13. That's it. We're just moving on because we'll focus on week 14. We'll focus on the wild card. We will no longer give a shit about this, but we have been stockpiling for week 13 because we know that will either give us the chance to have first place if you lose. But I don't even care, but I'd like it. It would be nice to be in first place. If you lose, it puts us in the potential to 1, have first place, and 2, I would love to see Hackettstown's finest in 3rd place and have to play a wild card game. I would just from pure. No, it has nothing to do even with matchups because I think that the Whalers are probably the deepest, best team in this league. They're the one that scare me the most. But as Yahoo predicted at the beginning of the season, just for pure satisfaction, I would love to see you have to play a wild card game. How satisfying! I think the rest of the league would love that. But whether or not that happens, I don't know. That's all dependent on Nick and Jamie. And this one is dependent on the Hagglers. If the Hagglers win this, which is very possible, we have not paid as much attention to this week. I mean, I think even the Green Bay thing is enough to put bulletin board material up in Hagglersville. to be like, look, I'm sure your pregame speech will be like, this guy isn't even playing a defense for us. Fuck this guy. He hasn't learned.
Bulletin board materials. We don't really have to win another game.
That's true. You don't.
Yeah.
The Hagglers.
So players are off until December.
Right. I mean, the Hagglers. That's the other thing. The Hagglers. They don't seem to give a fuck right now either, which would be extra insulting if they win.
We're playing for the playoffs as well, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to win another game.
Well, you're not playing for the bye. You're playing for the 5 or 6
We're not playing
seed,
for
but...
a bye. At this point, we can just float down the log flume garbage chute into the playoffs.
I know. Well, so this is an interesting question. So, I mean, like, and honestly, I do think that you've loaded up your team as well as you can given the buys and the matchups, but you haven't flushed everybody down the toilet yet. I mean, and honestly, like, are you playing? I mean, because if it was me and I was the Hagglers and I saw, all right, well, I could either just totally dismantle my team and try against the 1603ers in a week where we have terrible matchups, or I could just, also look somewhere else and just focus on beating the champ was here, the last place team, and then I'm in the playoffs. I would be focusing all my effort on that last week too. I feel like this is a game. I don't know your psychology on this, but I feel like this is a game that both coaches might be looking past it to week 13. I certainly am. I mean, maybe that gives you a chance to Chapo Trap House us, but I don't know. What's your psychology going into this game? Are you trying your darndest to win this? I mean, you've entered players in. I mean, Tyler Gabriel, he's good.
He was just literally a roster spot because you needed a flex.
Right. I mean, like, is Griffin? Is he just a roster spot?
Literally a roster. He's 2 firsts from Darnold, a roster spot. This week's roster.
2 firsts from Darnold. You gotta be kidding me.
You can say that all you want, until you realize that this man won with Joe Flacco
and Antonio Gates.
And
Capri Bibbs.
Yeah, Capri Bibbs.
And Drake's Cakes. I'm reunited with my champion.
I know. Is he playing this week? He's off.
He's not even playing.
Yeah.
This team's a wreck.
Yeah, no.
I got Turf Toe. I got Devontae Adams questionable with Turf Toe. What the fuck?
Yeah, no.
I just got rid of Turf Toe Thompson. Chris Thompson.
Well, you're going to need like a 40-point cushion going into Sunday night because Lamar Jackson is there waiting.
But who's he playing this week? The Rams? Whatever. Yeah, you're right. I mean, everything says the 1603ers should win this. Just like everything said the 1603ers should have beaten Zamunda. This is the kind of game that we always lose. But we shouldn't. There's no reason on paper. There's absolutely no reason that we should lose this game. But if we do, look for wholesale changes or just look for week 14. When you go, why the fuck did that guy pick up that guy in the thing next week? You'll know. Go look at who he's playing in week 14. Otherwise,
yeah,
we've put our eggs in the week 13 basket because we know that if we can win both of these games, we control our own destiny. We will have the bye just because of points. We know that the other two cannot catch us if we can win both of these games. So, and just from a practicality standpoint, we saw the roster that the Hagglers had. And look, if karma is going to make us lose it, there's nothing. I can't fight karma. But the lineup is good enough to beat him. So
karma hasn't been hurting me yet.
No, because karma also has a sixth sense of. It's not like actual karma. Karma doesn't work as it should. it's like it's a moving target. So I mean, like Eugene has been a champ in this league. I mean, like, what do you like it. Some people are just immune to it. Some people just have a karmic immunity. I am not one. I'm one that's like, I'm an it's like my parents were anti-karma vaccinators. It just hits us every time. So if this is the one, this is the one. But I'd rather have it get it over with now. But if not,
well, you don't do anything wrong, and karma still hurts you.
I do plenty wrong. Ask the Whalers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But honestly, karma should. Well, I think karma's a chameleon. So the fact that I got rid of my players saved me in that game versus the Whalers. Karma would have come back easily if I didn't at least realize my wrong and try to rectify it. But I mean, even when I lost to Geese, one of the reasons in the championship game, I got cocky. I started to play in the dark arts. I got Gillisley, and I lost in the ironic fashion where karma came back and got me. So no, it comes and gets me every time. No. So given the history and given everything that I know, and the fact that I never picked myself, I'm picking the Hagglers to win this game.
Ooh.
Oh, don't ooh that. I mean, I always pick the other team. Do you think that I actually think the Hagglers are going to win? I will not answer that. I take the 5th.
Yeah, I think the 1603ers will win, but I'm hoping for some banana peels.
Of course, you're rooting for injury.
Rooting for injury, I like it.
Yeah, I have to say so. If Lamar, is day to day or week to week going into next week, I wouldn't be upset about that, to say the least.
If karma is listening, by all means.
Because, besides Lamar and McCaffrey, I just don't respect the other guys on your team that much. I mean, I hate to say it.
Do you hate to say it? I think you love to say it. I've heard you say it over and over again. If you hate to say something, you wouldn't say it all the time. I think you love it.
Yeah, I actually do. But
I mean, I don't even know. Like, karma would if there was such a thing, then and you weren't immune to it, the Finest would have an ironic injury to their player this weekend. I don't even know who though. Who do you what
injury?
What?
I've actually been extremely lucky with injuries this year.
I know, but I mean, who would I? I'm looking at you. Like, who do you? Well, I mean, I see 3 Qs down at the bottom, but I mean, who would even get injured on your team that would be like? I guess DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know.
I'm actually hoping for an injury
to Chubb or Hunt. Right? Exactly. I think that's exactly what you want. I don't even. That's the ironic thing is you're actually rooting for your own injury because you're like, well, then at least I can go with this guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the most ironic part of this whole thing. He's rooting for injuries. Not at least you're an equal opportunity rooting for injury guy. You're rooting for your own men to be injured.
Well, just one of them.
Just
not
one.
both.
Right. No, I know. All right. So. Geese, I know you always pick yourself, and I always pick my opponent. So, I guess Manny, you're the man out. You're the only one who's picking the 1603ers to win this game.
My brain says the 1603ers, but my heart says the Hagglers.
Okay. What does your gut say? Because that could be the deciding factor.
My gut says the 1603ers, barring injury.
There you go. Barring injury, of course. All right, so that does all that's it for all the games. So all right, so I'm breaking down the playoff scenarios. What do we see most likely to happen next week? What is this landscape going to look like next week?
Hopefully it's Hackettstown's Finest clinched a bye. And I think the Whalers will be, they'll be 9-3. The 1603ers as well. So I think all of us will kind of be in the same situation. The Blues have an iffy matchup, but I think they'll pull it out. So I think in that respect, you will all be competing for 2 seed.
So you think the 1% will all just win this week?
Yes. I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to win this election.
Okay. And then down at the bottom, do you see? So, you picked Tillett. Do you think Tillett's going to win? So you're predicting them in 5th?
Yeah, I'm predicting them in 5th, but I think Wakanda will lose to Zamunda.
Right. So you think that the Hagglers remain in 6th?
Will be 6th. Yeah, they'll stay in a playoff spot.
Interesting.
I think the scenario is, and this goes against my predictions. Well, all right, let's first do our lock of the week and the upset of the week. My lock is obviously the Whalers dismantling the Monkeys.
Agreed.
Geese.
Whalers just I'm telling you, I'm rooting against any logjam players. Okay. Period.
Right. But you think that that's going to be the lock of the week, though? I think we all think it. Right.
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Your upset of the week.
The upset of the week.
Based on current predictions.
Myself beating you.
Okay. Wow. So Manny's head wants, or Manny's head thinks that the 1603ers are going to win. His heart wants
the Hagglers.
Wants the Hagglers. His gut thinks the 1603ers, and your balls say that you're going to beat them.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly correct.
Right. Okay. So
I'm going to tell you this right now: if the Hagglers upset 1603ers, they go all the way.
Interesting. That's a bold prediction, Joe Namath.
It's the same scenario.
No, it's not. The same scenario as me just destroying you right now.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, the same scenario was, I think it was week 12.
Yeah, because I had to, yeah, you're right. No, so go 1603.
Oh, thank you. I think the upset of the week is, well, go ahead.
No. You're right. Never mind.
All right, well, I think the upset of the week is Nick and Jamie over at Hackettstown's Finest. I do.
I think that's your heart speaking, not your brain. Or is that your gut?
It's somewhere in between. I have a little indigestion.
Okay.
It's a little bit of my ass speaking there too. I pulled that one right out of there. It's a lot of body parts, but we'll see. I don't know. I feel like this is, I don't know how this is going to happen, but this is what I feel like the scenario is going to be next week. I think that yours and my game is going to be for first place. I think it will be. And I think that the loser of that game is going to end up in 3rd and have to play in week 14. And I think the Whalers moves into 2nd. I think Whalers can almost bank on themselves being 2nd place, if that happens.
You keep talking the Whalers up. I think you just feel really bad for like what you did to them.
I didn't do anything to them. Ultimately, you're the one who did something to them.
Well, you talk them up so much. Like you think their team is like the best thing since sliced bread.
I don't even like sliced bread. I think they're better than sliced bread. I'm off carbs right now.
Okay. All right.
Are you not telling me that you don't look at their team and think that they're the best?
I think their team is very good, but I mean, yeah, I think their team is like, if I had to trade teams with them right now, I would probably be okay with that, because I think they're slightly better than the Finest.
There you go. See?
Slightly, but it's not that much.
Sure, but fine. I think any one of the top 4 teams are good. I would not trade with the Blues, though.
No.
Honestly, I think all 3 of us are good. And the Blues...
I mean, I wouldn't trade for your team just because you have just 2 guys that are amazing, but the rest of the team is...
I know how you feel about my team. You hate saying it, though.
Well, maybe I like it because I've said it 5 times so far in this podcast.
What else do I think is going to happen? I think the Blues get 4th. Who is Tillett playing this week again?
They're playing.
I think Eugene wins. I don't actually think that, but I think based on the scenario, I think they're going to lose. I think the Hagglers are going to lose. I think all 3 of the 5 and 6 teams are going to lose.
That would create quite a massive logjam potential.
Does that mean the Lightning Rods have... No. Who are the Lightning Rods playing? God, this is... they're playing the Blues now. The Lightning Rods are not going to... I don't know. Whatever. I don't even know what happens there. The Monkeys obviously lose. Nick and Jamie, I've already said, I think are going to win. Zamunda, I think they win too. Based on this. Just based on the rando analysis. And that, yeah, and the fact that the Wakanda will lose, I think all 5 and 6 teams lose. Nick and Jamie's the only one that moves up. They get themselves in that 5 and 7 bracket. Actually, I think because the Lightning Rods are playing the Blues, you're saying? I think the Lightning Rods pull it out. I think that you have 5, 6, 7, 8. All at 5 and 6. No, wait. Yeah, no, that would be right. I think you have all of those teams fighting for it. And the ironic thing is, if the Lightning Rods win, they have the most points out of those, so they would jump to 5th place automatically.
Wow.
But I do think that next week that the Hagglers are going to beat Eugene, and they will get themselves in because of that win. And everybody, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's how I see it playing out. Who do you think? So at this point, who do you think? I mean, we know the top 4 playoff teams. What is your seeding? What if you had to predict right now? What do you think the playoff seeding is going to be?
I think it stays exactly the way it is.
Interesting.
Let me look at the Week 13 matchups.
I think every single team below 4th doesn't win another game this season. And everything stays exactly the way it is.
Oh my God! That's very
It's
plausible.
very possible. It's absolutely possible.
It is.
5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th win another game this season. Right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 teams in that possible spot all lose. This lineup stays exactly the same. No leapfrog.
I would actually have to agree with that because in Week 13, Tillett plays the Monkeys, and I think looking at that matchup, I think Tillett will win that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to... who are they playing this week again?
This week, Tillett is Rolling Horns with Dave Secret
Crush. So I think Tillett will be 5th, and I think the Hagglers will be 6th.
Ooh, you think that they swap places?
Swap, because I think Tillett will win both matchups.
Huh.
I actually think that Dave Secret Crush will win this week. I mean, as we've discussed, they have more points than the Blues. I mean, are they really gonna Dave Secret Crush?
Well, they'll just find a way to lose.
Out of the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Mind you, Dave Secret Crush has more points in the season than Tillett. Dave Secret Crush, the last place team is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th in points.
The only one who's won out of that 6-team logjam is Dr. Hockey. Look at the trend. They're all L's. Every single person, Dr. Hockey is the odd man out with a win. He got 1 win. And look, I'm telling you, look how much 1 win does for you in this logjam.
Wow.
1 win is huge. It's the toe tag division.
Now, when you started this league, did you do divisions, or did you always have like just 12-team standings?
Just 12 team standings.
Okay.
I think
You never had divisions.
Never had divisions. The first season, I believe, was 10 teams. Don't quote me on that. Although, we live in the age of Google. I could just look that up quickly to tell you how many teams were the first season. But every other year, it's definitely been 12. Let me just confirm how many were in the first season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so 10 in the first season, but every other season has been 12 teams.
Okay.
And never any divisions. Why would you even do divisions? I guess you could do divisions if you have multiple.
Yeah, my other league does divisions, so I like this way better.
Yeah, why would you?
Way more fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you, I think my scenario is the 1603s in first, the Whalers in second, Hackettstown's Finest in third, the Blues in fourth, Tillett in fifth, Hagglers in sixth. I think we're going to actually have a Haggler versus Finest rematch in the wild card week.
Ooh.
Whoa.
And the Blues playing Tillett.
Ooh.
Putting Manny in third.
Yeah.
Look, if like I said, our predictions are usually terrible. There's no reason why that won't be the case. And look, if I'm wrong, we'll know it next week. Definitely. All you have to do is win this week and beat your soon-to-be nemesis, Nick and Jamie. Ooh, but if Nick and Jamie, then if they win this week, then they put themselves back in the logjam too at the 5-7 logjam. Ooh, that could be even more interesting.
Almost in a playoff spot.
I know, and they could win. So either way, I think Manny might be facing, in my dream scenario, I think Manny is either facing their Hackettstown brethren or their new nemesis.
Nick and Jamie. All right. Yeah, if Nick and Jamie beats me 3 times this year, and those are my only 3 losses of the season, that's a distinct possibility.
I will buy them a fruit basket with my winnings, whatever they are. All right, so what do you think is the
I guess you could potentially have 6 teams at 5-7.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's very, very likely.
4, 5, 6. 6 teams at 5-7, and in that scenario, I'm still in the playoff hunt at 6. I literally, no matter what happens, I don't think I can be knocked out of the playoffs this week, right?
This week? No.
This week.
No.
No matter what the Hagglers do, which is incredible. It doesn't even matter. This league is so bad. I literally cannot be knocked out of the playoffs this week. That's amazing. That's amazing. I was the blowout of the week last week, and it didn't even matter. I didn't even move. I stayed in fifth. What does that stat tell you? This team's so bad. They were the blowout of the week. It doesn't matter. They stayed in 5th place.
Yeah, you didn't pay any penalty for it.
There was no penalty for being the blowout of the week.
In week 11 of 13.
In week 11 of 13, when 6 teams are fighting for 2 spots, it doesn't matter that if you were the blowout of the week. You lost no ground.
Honestly, you could be the blowout of the week 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row and not threaten any playoff standing.
So, what do we consider the London game, the Bulgaria game, whatever, the one that nobody's watching? I think that's obviously going to be Whalers versus Monkeys. Is anybody paying attention to that game?
Well, I'm paying attention because they're a threat to my bye.
Of course, whatever. I just meant they're a threat to your bye. I mean, they're not a threat to your bye if you win. You're just gonna handle your own business and you're good.
Actually, not only can I not be knocked out of the playoffs, I could lose and have some of my competitors knocked out of the playoffs. I could lose the rest of my games and still have the final playoff picture cemented with me in it, as my fellow log jammers lose as well.
It's good, so tomorrow you can just enjoy Seinfeld and not care about the fantasy matchup.
It's the worst of the worst.
Yeah, honestly, I mean,
I could keep losing, and by virtue of teams being more horrid than myself, have there be nobody left to overtake me.
Yeah, just because they'll run out of games.
They'll run out of games, right. I could run out of games to lose to not make the playoffs.
Well, I think that
I'm just looking at the numbers. There's only 2 more games you could lose. Yeah. And even if everybody had the identical record going into next week, points wise, I'm ahead of everybody except for Lightning Rods, who's sure to lose anyway. With his $100 million, league leading.
Well, let's see. I mean, because the Lightning Rods they play the Whalers in week 13. So the Lightning Rods are going to lose that. So yeah. Yeah.
It's
yeah. Well,
by virtue of running out of games to lose.
Well, given that, I think that, but out of all these games, or is anybody not watching the Blues versus Lightning Rods? I mean, I guess you're watching that, obviously. I don't know.
Oh, I'm rooting, absolutely. Blues, I have a rooting interest in that.
Is there any games that nobody gives a shit about? I mean, I know that Manny doesn't give a shit about Wakanda versus Zamunda, but for league purposes, they do. Oh, well, all right, let's do it this way, because everybody has their own unique matchup of the week or game that they actually kind of. So, what is your matchup of the week?
My matchup of the week is my game for sure,
and your matchup and your game is my matchup of the week as well. I think that. I mean, if we're going from a 1% standpoint, that controls pretty much everything up there.
Yeah.
It completely shapes the 1%ers.
I mean, you ruined Nick and Jamie. Nick and Jamie are finished.
Yeah, they'll be out if they lose.
They're basically out.
But if they win, they're back in the logjam and they have a chance.
They win to go to 5-7. They're right in the thick of the turd soup.
Exactly. And if the finest win, you get the record for most wins in a row. You clinch a playoff spot. Everything is smooth sailing to go. But if you lose, it gets a little bit more dicey. So obviously, to me, that is the game that means the most. And I would say well, one of the bottom games, with all these teams fighting for a playoff spot or whatever. But I just think that they're so horrid that somebody's gonna I think that battle is to be had next week. Like that. Maybe next week the matchup of the week will be one of those games. But I just think that this week, so much at the top is controlled by your game. Because if you win, then it's just me, Whalers and Blues fighting for second place, and for the bye. And yeah, and then you could just coast above everybody else. So yeah, I think your game is the game of the week.
Agreed.
Actually, you want to know the truth? Out of games that nobody cares about, I mean, you know what? Mine and Gaze's game. Honestly, if you want to talk about the game that nobody gives a shit about, I mean, I think that the Whalers are going to blow out the Monkeys, so nobody's going to watch that. But you're right. There is implications in that game. I mean, I guess there's technically implications in my game, but I don't think anybody's watching the 1603ers versus the Hagglers. The Hagglers don't give a fuck. The 1603ers don't really give. I mean, we give up. I mean, like we've even said, even if we lose, then all right, we'll focus on the wild card. Nobody in this game gives a fuck. I don't. If the own players in this game have been like, you know what, whatever happens, we don't even care. You know what, my game has to be. I think our game, Geese, has to be the snooze. Not even the whatever. The Sheboygan game of the week, the one that's being
teams that are not playing care more about that game than the teams that are playing.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
I know. This has been the craziest season I've ever seen.
Yep.
I mean, I could lose and literally not be knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's a chance that could happen.
Yeah, you could.
I could lose and stay in 5th again.
Yeah,
I think, right? There's actually a chance to lose this game 2 weeks in a row, 2 losses in a row, and not move in the standings.
There's a chance that you could lose 3 weeks in a row.
3 weeks in a row and not move, not budge in the standings.
I don't think that scenario is that likely because I do agree that Tillett will win at least one of these, but yes. I mean, because who does Wakanda play in week 13?
In the last
the
week
Blues. They play the Blues. They have a tough schedule.
They do. They have a brutal schedule.
I mean, for the Hagglers, I think your game, the game that you're paying attention to way more than your own game, is the Blues versus the Lightning Rods this week.
Yep.
Because if the Blues win that game, that's going to essentially eliminate the Lightning Rods.
Yep. And that's the only one who's ahead of me in points. That's my nemesis right now.
Right.
You're the only threat. Quote unquote threat.
Right.
Floating turd in a toilet bowl threat. In terms of me being flushed, they're the only turd that might push me down the drain.
Right. They're the plunger. And they've
I'm at the top of the pile of turds in the toilet bowl. You can't flush every turd. You know, like when you flush the toilet and one piece is still in there?
The floater.
It's the floater, right. So I have a best chance to be the best floater as they flush the playoff toilet. As the playoff toilet gets a final flush, the Hagglers are one of the top 2 turds floating the bowl. Playoff analogy.
So, Coach Lutsky, was your season a success? Well, we were one of the best floaters.
Right. You couldn't flush us.
But then the pressure's on you because your esteemed distinction of being the only team that's never lost a playoff game is then put on the line.
That's going to be unbelievably pressure filled.
I know. It's almost better to not be a floater at that point if you're not gonna put it together.
Right. It's almost easier just to bow out. Because then I could keep that under my cap. I'm a champion and I've never lost in the playoffs ever.
You've only played one season in the playoffs, but
I'll take the Eugene route. I've never lost. I'll retire as the only coach to have never lost a playoff game. I mean, how many teams can say that? Must be really good. Nah, he just never makes it.
Your cat would be better than all these turds.
My cat could have made the playoffs.
All right, I think that's enough for this week. Unless anybody has anything else that they want to add.
Nope.
All right, so 1 week or 2 weeks left. Yeah, good luck to everybody. I guess we'll see you next week.
Yes, good luck. Yep.
All right, sounds good. Next Tuesday.
All right. Yep. Bye, everyone.
All right. Peace out.
All right, peace out.